Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. You know, folks, we have this case out of Utah, and it's these cases of wives killing husbands, husbands killing wives. Why don't people just get divorced and end their relationship? Why do they think that murder is the answer? And you see up on the screen, to the left, Jennifer Gledhill, and in the picture to the right is her husband, who happens to be a National Guard reservist. And they were going through separation or divorce, and she comes up with the idea that maybe it would be easier just to kill him, you know? So she devises this plan to shoot him in the head, in their home, because he discovers that she's having an affair. And instead of them going through the process of getting a divorce, she decides she's going to murder him. Where do people get these ideas that they think they can get away with this, that they think that shooting someone in the head in their bedroom, they're going to be able to clean up the crime scene. They're going to be able to get rid of the gun. They're going to be able to get rid of the body, and no one will know any better. No one's going to notice him missing, you know? Like, what are they thinking of? This is absolutely crazy. And today, we all know, every single one of us on this earth, unless you live in a cave somewhere or on that show on TV, Life Below Zero, you don't have a cell phone, you don't order things over your computer, you don't have, electronic devices, laptops, all of those things. You're an open book. Everyone knows who you are. Everyone is tracking you, including law enforcement. So when you do something as egregious as taking someone's life, who do you think's going to win this game? You or the police? Do you really think you're going to get away with it? Or do you think maybe the police are professionals at doing this and they're going to get you? And instead of you being free for the rest of your life to take care of your 3 young children, now you're going to probably get 25 to life, get convicted. Even if they don't recover your husband's body, there's still a thing called circumstantial evidence, which we talk about all the time on this show. That from which inferences are drawn, circumstantial evidence. And lots of circumstantial evidence is extremely, extremely powerful. So even if they don't recover Matthew Johnson, that's the husband's name, even if they don't recover his body, all the circumstantial evidence they have is enough, I believe, to get a conviction against Jennifer Gledhill. And we'll talk about it, but she winds up involving other people who she should never have gotten involved. So, folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your thoughts, hold on to everything you know about murder. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
Before we get on with the show, first, a word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds in everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Joining me tonight, of course, I'm so thankful that he could, because he has a life and he has a family and everything. But it seems like call him and he's always, not always, but 99% of the time he's ready. And this is a little bit complicated, convoluted. So it's good to have someone to play ping pong with, hit that ball back and forth and pick the brains of two huge criminal justice minds. Anyway, on the show tonight with me is retired NYPD Sergeant, professor at Albertus Magnus College in Connecticut, attorney. Welcome to the show, Professor Michael Geary. Mike, welcome.
Hey, William. Good evening. Good to see you. Long time no see. This is a great case to talk about. Really great case.
Mike, so many times we have cases like this, and we think about, what are people thinking of that they think that they can get away with murder? Now, is there a part of their brain that's missing, that they don't understand the whole crime scene process, the whole process of collecting evidence, the whole process, the whole time frame of that? The police can wait. There is no statute of limitations on murder. So they can have you sit around for 6 months or a year before they pull the trigger on arresting you. They have all the time in the world, but guess what? You don't. And all the things that you did wrong, they're going to catch you on, and they're going to use that as evidence against you. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Bill, there's always going to be a few instances where somebody plans a murder for months and they execute pretty much the perfect murder, and they think they got away with it because they really crossed every I, crossed every T, dotted every I, and they did what they had to do, thinking about cell phones, thinking about crime scene cleanup, thinking about hiding the body or position of the body or what they're going to use to kill the person, or an excuse to be out of the house, and, work out all of the angles and the alibis. That can happen, of course, but that takes an awful lot of planning, an awful lot of intelligence, an awful lot of luck. But I think too many times people will, in the heat of anger or jealousy or rage or something, they'll kill, and then they'll try to cover it up later and start making up excuses. And unfortunately, the things that they say and things that they do don't match up with other objective facts and testimony that the police get from other witnesses, or DNA evidence, or cell phone evidence, ring camera pictures and things like that. And so they get caught. It is really difficult today. And we talked about this before we went on, with all the science and technology between cell phones, ring cameras, DNA, license plate readers. It is so difficult to get away with the crime. And especially when you haven't even, you did the crime in a fit of rage, and then you get cool later on and try to figure it out. Yeah, you can get desperate and try to maybe get a leg up on the police by hiding a body or something. But eventually the police are going to put it all together. This is what they do for a living. This is how they make their living, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, solving murders. And so this case presents an interesting set of facts, but hopefully it'll end in a successful prosecution.
This is on the screen Jennifer Gledhill, and she has been arrested for the murder of the man you see on the thumbnail there, whose name is Matthew Johnson. To give you a little synopsis of the case, on September 28th, 2024, the defendant, of course, who is Jennifer Gledhill, called Cottonwood Heights Police Department to report her husband, Mr. Johnson, was missing. She told law enforcement that her husband had not been seen or heard from since they fought on September 20th, 2024. The defendant told police Mr. Johnson had told her he would be gone for a week and not to call him. So right there, she's got a pretty little alibi there. I didn't call him because he told me not to. An informant later told police that he had an extramarital affair with the defendant, Jennifer Gledhill, and that on Sunday, September 22nd, 2024, the defendant came over to his house. While there, the defendant told the informant that Mr. Johnson had come home on September 20th, 2024, and yelled at her because he knew she had been sleeping with someone else. I think most husbands would get a little mad at that if they knew that, right? The defendant told the informant that she shot Mr. Johnson on September 21st, 2024, as he slept in their bed. She told the informant that she put Mr. Johnson's body into a rooftop storage container, slid him down the stairs of their home, and loaded his body into the back of their minivan. The defendant said she smashed Mr. Johnson's phone and hid his truck in a nearby neighborhood. The defendant said she then took her husband's body north, dug a hole, and buried him in a shallow grave. The informant said that he noticed bruises all over the defendant's body, and when asked about them, the defendant said they were from moving Mr. Johnson's body and cleaning their house. Detectives obtained a search warrant for the defendant's home. They noticed the mattress in the master bedroom was new. There were several reddish-brown spots on the wall, bed frame and blinds of the master bedroom. The wall behind the master bedroom bed was covered in bleach. A circular pattern on the carpet below the bed on the right side near the head of the bed tested positive for human blood. So, right there, Mike, there's so much evidence, right? And crime scene, the science of crime scene evidence collection is very thorough. And they have these chemicals that even though you cleaned everything up, you cleaned up the walls, and oh yes, everyone has alcohol all over their walls after someone's been killed, and there's the blood in the bed and on the frame and everything. The other thing is, she put him in some storage thing and slid him down the stairs. He's about 5'8", 5'9", 180 pounds. There's no way she could do that by herself. Someone must have helped her move her husband's body. But when we talk about the science, Mike, of crime scene evidence collection, blood stain pattern analysis. And we had that on the last case with that Margulies. The blood stain pattern analysis didn't match the story they told. As in this case, cleaning up the crime scene, you didn't do a good enough job. You should have hired the merry maids, crime scene cleanup, because you didn't do a good enough job because you left blood. God knows what else you left there. If you shoot someone in the head, there may be brain fluid. I hate to be that, putting it out there, but that happens to be reality. And the blood stain pattern analysis, because it's a gunshot, it leaves really small pinprick size pieces of blood evidence on the wall. And even though you think you cleaned it with alcohol, the potential that it's still there is very real, because guess what? There was still blood on the bed frame, and all of a sudden you have a brand new mattress. What happened to the old one, Mike?
Yeah, Billy, just we talked about this with the Banfield case, like you just mentioned with Margulies. The police may find blood spatter and realize that a shot may have been taken towards somebody either standing up or laying down on a bed, or sitting on a bed, or standing up, and they can tell where the impact wound was with some certainty, and figure out where the blood spatter was. So they could see whether a person was either lying down and executed in cold blood, or were they standing up, coming at the person who shot them? And so when things don't match up, she never claimed that she was abused by him, and in the heat of a violent encounter, she was defending herself. Not at all. So it's kind of weird. So if they see blood spatter, it indicates that a human was lying down or their head was somewhere near the floor, that sort of thing. You're going to have a very different blood spatter pattern. And as you say, there's so many droplets. You could sit there and look at a wall and not see all of the droplets. You could spray it with alcohol, whatever you want to do, but you're still going to use the luminol, and it's still going to probably test positive in many instances for blood. Using bleach is about the only way you could pretty much guarantee. You may not even sure that you can defeat luminol and some of the other substances that they used. But even beyond that, the blood and the bed frame, the blood directly underneath, a circular pattern directly under the bed, that goes to show you that person was on that bed, especially where it was directly below, like near the headboard. So she has a lot of explaining to do, and I don't think she can do it. But no matter how thorough you are, you can't eliminate every bit of blood. And as far as having help, yeah, I am sure she had help. Probably a close member of her family may have helped her. So this brings in the intrigue of the parents, and really just turns this case from tragic in one realm to even beyond that, because now other people in the family have now gotten involved, and that's a lot worse than the original. So she's looking at some tough times ahead, because there is a lot of forensic evidence, and people think they can get away with these things. It's rare that they can do that. Really
Absolutely.
rare.
Liz Lawson from the chat, her mom and dad helped her clean up. Maybe her dad helped her move the body. Liz, I'm definitely thinking that, because I don't think she could have lifted that body herself. Detectives obtained a search warrant for the defendant's home. They noticed the mattress in the master bedroom was new. There were several reddish-brown spots on the wall, bed frame, and blinds of the master bedroom. The wall behind the master bedroom bed was covered in bleach, because we said that's where the blood spatter would be when you shoot someone in the head. A circular pattern on the carpet below the bed on the right side near the head of the bed tested positive for human blood. A neighbor told police that on September 24th, 2024, she saw the defendant's parents in the defendant's house cleaning. They did not leave the house until 11 p.m. When police confronted the defendant's parents about them being at the defendant's home on September 24th, 2024, her mother said she was only there for an hour. She also told police she had purchased a mattress from Amazon at the request of the defendant. The defendant's father said he didn't remember details of the day, except that he had been at the defendant's house for a short period of time. Detectives confronted the defendant's father about how long he was at the house, and if he went into the master bedroom, and he responded, "I did not go in where the incident happened." Wow. GPS data from the defendant's phone shows on the day that she told the informant she killed her husband, the defendant traveled to where her husband's truck was later found at around 6 a.m. That afternoon, GPS data put her in Davis County until her phone was turned off at around 2:37 p.m. The phone was turned on around 5 p.m. as she was traveling eastbound on the West Davis corridor. Later that same day, the defendant's vehicle was captured on camera at a Holiday Oil on Highland Drive in Salt Lake County. The defendant thoroughly cleaned the car and opened all the doors. The defendant left the car wash at 11:07 p.m. and then went to the informant's house at 11:47 p.m., consistent with the timing the informant told the detectives. So here she is, which this is sort of bizarre to me too, Mike, is that she's having an affair with a guy who's an informant, a confidential informant for the police. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen, Mike?
Unfortunately for her, and luckily for law enforcement, she did that. She has very poor judgment, and apparently, if it can be considered truthful, and we do know that some of what he said has been verified, objectively verified, so that's good to when you want to think whether or not he's a credible witness. What he said about her matched up with times and dates and locations, and so therefore, her spilling the beans. She was pumped up. She wanted to talk to somebody. She needed to kind of talk it over, rationalize it, perhaps. Maybe she was trying to impress him to say, look, I got rid of my husband and, we can be together forever. I'll move in with my 3 kids or, something like that. But he probably saw it as what it was. It was a nightmare. She was trying to get him to be part of her nightmare. And he smartly stepped away and let the police know what he knew. And so good for that. But that just shows you the depravity of what she did. But she was very thorough, very, very thorough again, with the turning the cell phone off. So maybe you couldn't track where she was, turning it back on when she wanted to, getting the car detailed very well at a gas station / car wash place. She's smart. She's smart enough to be dangerous, but she's stupid enough to do some things that just really mess her up and will probably end up with her doing a life sentence if there is justice for the victim in this case.
Absolutely. The other thing I'm just going to also mention to everyone that's listening to this show is that the gun she used to kill her husband was his gun. And the gun was recovered in her parents' home via a search warrant. It was a 9mm Glock handgun. So that gun, and I would imagine if she only fired one shot into her husband's head, probably very close, if not point blank, she probably got rid of the spent shell. But they still can test the gun if they can recover the round, the projectile inside her husband's head to compare against his gun. So all of these connections are occurring. And look how she implicated her parents. Her father, his name is Tom. Her mother's name is Rosalie. Do you know where they are right now? They're in jail. They're in jail. Basically being charged with tampering with evidence. So she gets her parents involved, destroys their life too. And then 3 beautiful kids. Let me play. This is from a local news station. Let me play a little bit of this. Channels ABC4 News in Utah. If it comes on, here we go. Should come on any second. It's lagging a bit.
Protective order to keep the Cottonwood Heights woman who's accused of killing her husband before reporting him missing from seeing her children ahead of the trial. While she was in court today, police are actively looking for her husband's body in Davis County. ABC4's Northern Utah.
So they're searching for the husband's body.
Yeah.
She obviously was smart enough when she transported the body to let me get this off because it's lagging, it's dragging. She was smart enough to turn off her phone. So she drove far enough away and she buried it in allegedly a shallow grave. At least that's what she told the confidential informant who is cooperating with police right now. So she does that. But as we know, as we've seen in many cases, that they can try a case without the body. They don't have, look at we call it circumstantial evidence, that from which inferences are drawn. And there is so much circumstantial evidence in this case that, they can never find the body and they're still going to prosecute her and they're still going to get a conviction. Would they like to find the body? You bet. Of course they would. Will they go to her lawyer and ask him, would she cooperate with that? I've never, ever seen a lawyer advise his client to tell the police where the body is. I've never seen that, Mike. Have you?
No, I have not, but it could happen in this case. The parents are Rosalie happens to be 67, and her father Tom happens to be 71, and they're on a it's a felony obstruction of justice charge in Utah, and under Utah law, there's no they're not getting out on bail, so it is possible that by holding her elderly parents in jail, putting pressure on her, maybe, just maybe, she would, tell everyone where the body is, and in a deal, perhaps, release the parents. That's really right now what I'm sure, law enforcement, if I'm them out in Utah, I'm the district attorney, that's what I'm hoping for, because the parents, were intimately involved in the cover-up afterwards. They were accessories after the fact of the murder. But there's no evidence right now that they knew beforehand. They supplied the Glock. They did other things long time beforehand to help the crime occur. They just helped her finish the crime and get away with it. So it's still very serious, and they are accessories. But that's something you could hold over her, because you could tell her, look, we may cut you some sort of little slack, but you have to tell us where the body is, and we may reduce or eliminate the charges against your parents. It's all about leverage, like wrestling. It's all about leverage. And if you can get some leverage on this person and put the screws to them, maybe she'll crack. But I think that her parents being in jail right now as elderly people in jail, I think that's the pressure they could apply, hopefully successfully, against her.
Absolutely. Mia from the chat, if memory serves me, he called the police after she told him, I don't believe he was a CI. Well, Mia, I'm getting it right from the arrest affidavit, and I'll read it to you. The statement of an identified informant through interviews with detectives that he was having an extramarital affair with Gledhill. Informant stated that on Sunday, September 22nd, 2024, Gledhill asked to come over to his house just before midnight to give him some prints. Informant stated that Gledhill arrived at his house and was visibly distraught. Gledhill then told informant that she was likely going away for a long time and wanted to give the prints to someone who would enjoy them. I don't know what the prints are of. Gledhill had told informant that Matthew had returned to the home on September 20th, 2024, and started yelling at her because he knew she had been sleeping with someone else. That's the husband. Gledhill told informant that on the night of September 21st, 2024, she had shot Matthew in the head with Matthew's 9mm Glock as he slept in their shared bed. Gledhill stated that she smashed Matthew's cell phone and hid his vehicle in a neighborhood near the house. Gledhill told informant that she loaded Matthew's body into a rooftop storage container, slid him down the stairs by herself, and loaded him into the back of her minivan. I don't know how she could do that by herself. Gledhill stated that she had taken Matthew's body north, dug a hole, and buried him in a shallow grave. Gledhill stated that she cleaned everything up. Informant stated he observed bruises on Gledhill's arms and legs, which she explained were from moving Matthew's body and cleaning the mess in the house. Informant stated that Gledhill told him she was very likely going to kill herself that very night, or eventually, if the police figured out she killed Matthew, as she refused to spend her life in prison. Informant stated that Gledhill had shown him a tan Glock handgun on September 19th, 2024, and she pulled the slide back, showing him it was loaded. Informant stated that he waited to contact police with this information because he wasn't sure Gledhill was telling the truth. Informant stated Gledhill told him not to say anything, that it was not a crime not to say anything. And the informant further stated that he and Gledhill communicated via text message and WhatsApp, which he provided to the police. So, guys, I think that pretty much that shows that he is in fact an informant, right? And how strange is that a police informant is having an affair with someone who kills their husband? But the informant, and known as CI, confidential informant, he waited 6 days before he reported that information to the police. 6 days. So was he reluctant to report it, Mike?
Bill, he must have been reluctant to report it. She's, being in his shoes, take a look from his shoes. She comes over to your house. She's distraught. She tells you the story about killing a guy, her husband, in cold blood, cleaning the place up, burying his body, and she shows you a loaded firearm. I'm going to be a little hesitant to take any action at that point. And so he sat on the information, thought about it, and because maybe he was intimidated, like this lady may be a little unstable. She killed the husband in the home. What's to say that she wouldn't kill me? What's to say that she's not going to kill herself? She's maybe, and she's probably definitely unstable. He probably was actually worried and didn't know what to do. He probably didn't really want to have anything to do with her anymore. Didn't know what to do, and he thought it over. And thankfully, he did come forward and tell the story. But he probably did not want to try and question her about any of the details. It would have been good if he had worn a wire and then talked to her over the phone or just confidentially, thinking that she was talking in private, and he could probably ask her about where the body would be or that sort of thing. But at least we got a lot of information. The police got a lot of information. He provided the police with his phone number. His phone, wherein they could see text to her and the response. Even if she got rid of her phone or got destroyed or something, they still have it on his phone. So I think he was shocked and was kind of scared and didn't know what to do for a while. I think that would be understandable if I was in his shoes, because that's got to be a shocking thing.
Absolutely. This is the family. You can see there's that beautiful family there on the right side. That's Matthew Johnson, 2 sons and a daughter. He's there with his wife, Jennifer Gledhill, and those are her parents, Tom and Rosalie, who are now under arrest. How ridiculous, right?
Now in jail, accused of helping her cover up the crime. I'll tell you what police say Jennifer Gledhill's parents did and why they may not be getting out of jail anytime soon. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Antoinette Levy. I've been telling you about Jennifer Gledhill, the Utah mom accused of murdering her husband, Matt Johnson, and then hiding his body somewhere in Utah north of Salt Lake City. Police have still not found Johnson's body. Jennifer Gledhill appeared in court last week.
Good morning, ma'am. Is your name Jennifer Gledhill?
Yes, it is.
And there are some issues we need to discuss. Number one is that the state is requesting a pretrial protective order. The protected parties, in this case, there are 3 protected parties, ma'am. So I'm going to read their names and then ask if you know them. Do you know all 3 of those individuals, ma'am?
Yes.
And Ms. Argyle, can I ask to say, what's the basis for the protective order? They're not listed. Those individuals are not listed as alleged victims.
Children of the victim and the defendant, and there is some concern about obstruction that has been alleged to have already occurred and involvement with the children specifically. They will be likely witnesses in this matter.
Ms. Gledhill, for now, and until Judge Mao tells you something differently, ma'am, I am going to order that you have no contact with Johnson. So, ma'am, that means no in-person, no telephonic, no electronic contact. Ma'am, if you're released, you may not go near their residence, school. You may not have anyone else contact them on your behalf. And, ma'am, while this order is in effect, you may not possess a weapon or ammunition. Ms. Gledhill, do you understand everything I just told you?
Yes.
All right.
So she can't have any contact with her children. There's the potential here. I mean, even as crazy as it is, that she could get bailed. you know, she shot and killed her husband. You know, and bail again is these days, well, it was always supposed to say that it just ensures that you'll show up for your trial. And if you were a judge here, would you say that she is a danger to the community, Mike? That used to be a standard
Yeah.
for bail. It seems like they're trying to get rid of that as a standard. But I think there's a potential that a judge will give her bail on this case. What do you think?
I'm hoping not, because of this, the danger to anyone who may have neighbors who may have told the police, that she could figure out who told the police that her parents were there for 5 hours, not for like 15 minutes, like they had told the police. Maybe going to the, finding out where the children are, going to their school with a firearm, maybe killing herself, maybe killing, if she can find the ex-boyfriend, the CI, maybe put his life in danger. She may be a flight risk. It may sound dumb, but she may decide, put some money in her pocket and just take her car and try to disappear somewhere in the desert. Who knows? I'm hoping that I think she is a dangerous person to several people, and I would hope that a judge would not give her bail, considering the amount of danger she does pose to members of the community, because she has demonstrated an ability to, let's put it this way, there's probable cause to believe she killed a man, and there is some forensic evidence, and therefore she should be considered a threat to other people.
I think she's also a danger to herself. She indicated
Sure.
an intention of committing suicide. So crazy.
Yeah.
From the chat, Jamie Dressler, thank you, gentlemen, for covering this case. So insightful. This woman is not altogether, apparently. For her to think she will get away with doing this, unreal. But thanks again. You're very welcome. And you know something, we're seeing, like, we cover cases from all over the country. And we're seeing lots of cases like this now. You know, this has got to be the third or fourth case in the last few months where it was either the husband kills the wife kills the husband. And for some reason, I don't know if it's these crime shows on TV, people think they're going to get away with it. And they just don't get it. Just get divorced. Just get divorced. It's much easier. Don't kill somebody.
Implemented by the law enforcement effort. And as you start to weave these different threads together, you end up with a very strong strand that you can rely upon. And so that's really been what's been interesting about this. That is the information from law enforcement's efforts, the on-site review of the alleged scene where that happened, the physical evidence that was gathered there, the statements that were made by the informant, the neighbors who were there, the other forensic evidence that was gathered, as we stated in our probable cause statement, that we saw that there was an allegation that he was shot in the head while he was asleep. The mattress was missing. There was a brand new mattress. The initial forensic work that was done there saw that it was consistent with the corroboration of having cleaned the site with the bleach materials and the cleaning the materials that were found, and the state of the scene was found. Then the removal of the carpet there, which allowed us to find physical evidence, which was tested to corroborate that it was human blood that was down there. So these elements all sort of overlap and corroborated, as we state in our probable cause statement, to justify the filing of the charges that we did.
Now there's a new twist, and it's not completely unexpected. Jennifer Gledhill's parents, Tom and Rosalie Gledhill, have been charged with several counts of obstruction of justice. Her father, Tom Gledhill, is accused of lying to detectives, and he's accused of helping her order a new mattress to replace the bloody one the detectives claim Matt Johnson was shot on as he slept. An affidavit says, on September 26, 2024, the suspect messaged the arrested person that the mattress be delivered to the AP's address. On September 26, 2024, the AP's cell phone data showed the AP texted the suspect the mattress was delivered. The suspect requested the mattress be delivered to the AP's residence. The suspect's cell phone message showed she would pick up the mattress from the AP. On the outside, the Johnson and Gledhills look like the picture-perfect family, but police say they were not. So I decided to search them on TruthFinder.
So that obviously they had a history of the police responding to their home. Didn't seem like there was any violence coming from one and not the other. I think they both just didn't get along with each other. But there was never an arrest in the police responses. So it was mediated or whatever, referred to family court. But this case, I mean, yeah, it's a domestic violence case. Obviously, the worst you can get, a murder, a spouse killing another spouse over an extramarital affair. But they were in the process of getting divorced. Like, couldn't they wait? We just couldn't wait. I had to kill him. And now look at your life. Look what you've done. Well, you've killed your husband, and look what you've done to your life and others. Your children now will really never have you as a mother ever again. They lost their father. Their grandparents are in jail right now because they obstructed government administration. They tampered with evidence. And I would not doubt that the father is the one who helped to lift that body into the car. There's no way she lifted a 180-pound man into her minivan by herself. There's no way. That would be hard for one person to do by themselves. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, Bill, it's so sad. It's so tragic because you've got the father dead, the mother's in prison. You got the 3 children. One set of grandparents are in prison also. So, and I'm not sure if his parents are still alive, but it's a horrific tragedy for the family. And the idea that it's like you say, people get some ideas maybe off TV watching crime shows, but that's all scripted. And I guess she thought at a particular point somewhere that maybe with his deployments, a year or two, whatever it happened to be overseas, he did a number of deployments as a soldier in the War on Terror, and maybe he had PTSD. Maybe they weren't getting along.
No, that's confirmed. He absolutely did have PTSD.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
She starts an affair with someone else, and maybe she figures with 3 children, she does not want to be tied down to this man ever again. She wants to be free and clear of him completely and go on her life with a new boyfriend. And so the only way she can guarantee that is if she kills him, gets rid of him completely, and then somehow the life will be better. It's like a strange view of the world. Like you're going to commit a murder and it's going to be better for everybody. The children are going to be without a father, but it's going to be better for them. It's going to be better for me. And the idea also, just thinking about it, calling up, getting your parents involved, what were they thinking when they said, yes, dear, we'll come over and maybe help you move the body, help you get a brand new mattress. We're going to clean up. We're going to scrub that room down. What were they thinking? And their judgment was so impaired what they did. Their parents, this is a moral dilemma. What do you do as a parent? But what they did, this is not the right choice. And so therefore,
Mike, you're right.
They deserve it.
If one of your kids came to you and said, Dad, come on over and help me lift my husband's body, throw him into my minivan, and then help me clean up the crime scene, my answer would be no.
Right. No, sorry.
Turn yourself into the police. Are you kidding me? Like,
I'll help you with an attorney.
Right.
I'll help you get an attorney.
Worse. Let's make this way worse. Let's get rid of the body. Let's clean up the crime scene. And then your mother and I will be put in jail too, as the grandparents of Jennifer Gledhill's children. They're now in jail. So who did they help? Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed, I made it very easy. Just hit that red subscribe button right on the screen and give us a thumbs up. Hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels. And we also have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels. And you can be part of the Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories family. So let me just play a little bit more of this from just to see how crazy this whole case is.
7308 South Horizon Circle cleaning. The AP denied of any cleaning and stated he was there less than an hour. The AP stated when asked about the master bedroom, he stated he did not go in where the incident happened. Witnesses who lived nearby stated they had observed the AP in the home cleaning. The witnesses stated the AP was there for over 5 hours. Now, these are the reasons police say they charged Tom Gledhill with obstruction for destroying evidence and lying about what he did to clean. So what about his wife, Rosalie? An affidavit says the AP was asked if she was at her daughter's residence, again, 7308 South Horizon Circle cleaning. The AP admitted she was there at the home only to pick up clothing but denied cleaning. The AP stated she was there for less than an hour. Witnesses who lived nearby stated they had observed the AP in the home cleaning. The witnesses stated the AP was there for over 5 hours. Detectives say there's more. They say they seized Rosalie Gledhill's phone and something happened when they tried to look at the data. Detectives turned the cell phone's digital data on. At that time, the AP's cell phone was remotely reset and information was lost. Through training and experience, the owner of the cell phone can reset/erase information remotely from the cell phone. This is a tactic used by the suspects to stop and or hinder law enforcement's investigation. Police say Rosalie lied about how long she was at her daughter's home on September 24th. They say she also lied about cleaning and also helped buy that new mattress. Police are asking that both Rosalie and Tom Gledhill be held without bail. Sadly, police have still not found Matt Johnson's body.
We've been looking every day. Those diligent efforts, I want to thank our partners in law enforcement in Weber County and Davis County, Salt Lake County, and the local law enforcement there in Farmington and Farmington Bay and Ogden Bay area. And the Utah National Guard has been assisting. We've been looking, and we are hoping to have some positive outcome. We will continue our efforts in that search until weather prevents us.
How frustrating has that been to not be able to locate the body?
Extremely. Yeah, it's a needle in the haystack, and we have a general description of north of Salt Lake County, and the likely places we're looking, have not been very fruitful. We've had drones and cadaver dogs and searchers on foot looking at the more likely places, and we've been stumped. So it is frustrating for our detectives who go out. They put on waders, they crawl through culverts. They are looking diligently, and we're unable to find his shallow grave.
And even more sad, Matt Johnson and Jennifer Gledhill's children are not with family right now.
Well, they are in state custody, and they are being well taken care of. Our hearts out to the children. They're still attending school, but there's a lot of unknowns in their life with their mother and their father, a victim of the worst case of domestic violence, and their future is uncertain, but they're being cared for by the state.
By the state. Imagine
Right.
that, like, they're being cared for by the state. Whenever you hear the name the state, they're not being cared for very well, because the state is on the shallowest budget possible, and nothing that state does for you is good. So I hate to criticize this sergeant from the Cottonwood Heights Police, but they're not being well taken care of by the state. I hate, it's like, the NYPD Bureau of Child Welfare. Are they,
Right. That's what I was thinking.
God forbid any of your kids had to go to them. It was just horrific. And when he said that, I'm just like, no, don't even try to sell that bullshit. They're not being taken care of. It's too bad that they couldn't go with a family member. I don't know if there's any, the husband, Matthew Johnson, how about his parents?
Right.
Because it showed that the mother's parents now, they're in jail, and they're being held right now without bail. Fuzzy Doxy, they use the AP as the arrested person. I know that's a strange term to use, arrested person. Simi Sharp asked a great question. Sergeant Bill or Professor Mike, is this actually an uptick in these psycho murders, or are they just being shown in the light of social media? Simi, to tell you the truth, domestic violence murders have been going down in this country. over the years, mostly because of the way the police respond to domestic violence. And most cases of domestic violence, there's very little leeway for the police to just walk away and do nothing. They usually have to make an arrest. Not every time, but as I said, I was a sergeant, Mike was a sergeant, and you always felt better in a real legitimate domestic violence situation of putting someone in handcuffs than you were to walk away from it and not do anything. Because you always were worried that if you walked away from a potential domestic violence situation, family offense, that you would walk away and one would kill the other. So that was always my worry. And I'm sure I wasn't alone in thinking that way, Mike.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. You have to, as a sergeant, you have to cover, pardon my language, CYA, cover your ass and cover the ass of the responding officers so that nothing happens. If anything hits the fan, you're not going to be criminally or civilly responsible. So you have to do what the law tells you to do. You can't really use as much discretion as before, because we remember in the 80s how they were handled. And by the time we both retired, things were, 180 degrees in the opposite direction. And I think we have more conscientious reporting. And with the internet, you're hearing about all of these cases. So although the numbers are going down, like you said, they've been going down for quite a while, we're just actually hearing about them more. So even if the numbers are going down, we're much more informed because of mass media. So that's why it does seem like there is an uptick. But I think you're right. I think the numbers are going down, and they've been going down for a decade at least.
Suhaila from the chat, I think it's an uptick because countless PDs use this phrase, the uptick, and speak about how astounded they are, how some of these are just unbelievable, etc. I'm going to check the stats. Suhaila, I wish you would, but I just know that domestic violence murders have dropped a great deal since, the 2000s, the early 2000s, the 90s, certainly since the 90s, because of the way police respond to these cases and the seriousness they take in the response and the follow-up and the referrals. Look, when I was on the NYPD, even responding to a domestic violence case where you knocked on the door and you didn't get in the house, you had to do a complaint report and explain what happened. Nothing happened. Well, then just tell us that. So it was a way for the department to keep track of the officers that responded to these scenes. Well, what did they do? They took a report, but they didn't even get in the house. They don't even know who made the call. But here's the complaint report. So some of those things, I think, helped to keep domestic violence murders down. Mia from the chat, 2.5 hours, her phone was off. Lots of places up in the canyons she could be. Mia, no doubt she could have got rid of this body anywhere. She had all of that time. They can't track her to an exact location because she had her phone off, right? Unless the vehicle has the type of GPS where they can figure out exactly where the vehicle was. But still, even if you figure out where the vehicle was, how do you know where she dumped and dug this little shallow grave? The best way for them to search now, of course, would be with helicopters and drones so that you can see from the air if the ground has been disturbed. You can see that from the air. If a hole was dug, a recently dug hole, and that's where they can start looking. But just a tragic case. But all of the, when people think they can get away with this stuff, when we talk about all of the mistakes, and I'm believe me, I'm not trying to do a how to get away with murder show. What I want to just point out is people think they can get away with it. And guess what? You can't. There's too many ways for law enforcement to catch you. And you don't know even experts at murder, district attorneys, police, even they can't get away with it because there's just too many ways to catch you. Electronically, your cell phone, your vehicle, video cameras, and your big mouth is another way that people get caught all the time. Tell one other person and you're just as good as caught. And here she was having an affair with a confidential informant to the police. Mike.
Yeah, like you say, you got all this electronic information, you got all the scientific innovations, but opening up your mouth, and once you tell someone, it's no longer a secret. It's just a story that hasn't been told yet. And this guy waited a couple of days and he told it. If she had kept her mouth shut, then there would have been a greater distance before he would have been noticed being missing from his platoon, the guys he worked with, his job. And so she might have had more time. Maybe she would have went back and cleaned up the bedroom, again, or something like that. That she would have had time to really go over everything one more time. Therefore, telling this guy really shut down her ability to go back over and make sure everything was done perfectly. And that's a good thing because it helps the police in this situation. But you're right. The most basic thing, keep your mouth shut. She violated the most important precept of confidentiality and getting away with the crime. If you did it, do not tell anybody you did it.
Exactly. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole. Thank you for being here, Karen. Karen's from across the pond. Oh, I wondered what AP meant, arrested person. Karen, it's not a standard abbreviation. And that's where, like, some of us, we get in a little trouble when people use abbreviations that are known just to them. And you say, what the hell is that? I've never used that term, arrested person. We would use known perp. There's another thing. There was an inspector I used to work for, used to use KP. And I'd be like, what the hell is a KP? And he'd be like, oh, that's a known perp. It was almost like his own abbreviation. One time, a guy, an officer I worked with, he used FM in the body of the report. And I said to him, I go, what the hell is FM? And he says to me, he goes, female. I go, where the hell did you get that abbreviation? That's not an accepted abbreviation. It's not a standard abbreviation. How the hell is someone supposed to know that FM means female? It's just, don't ever use that again, I told him, But even this arrested person, Mike, I've never seen that used before.
Yeah, I've never seen it in the NYPD, and I certainly never saw FM. I always thought that was a radio station, a radio wave. FM. Could you imagine if that case goes to court and and the defense attorney gets you on the stand? No, Sarge, what's FM mean? It means female.
Female, yes.
Can you imagine what the defense attorney would do to you? Oh my
Kill
God.
You. Tam here. License plate readers, Tam, 100% unbelievable. Not only can they tell you where a specific car was at a specific time, they can track the whole route. It's unbelievable. And then they give you a computer printout of where this car was in the last whatever days, whatever time frame you're looking for. And then they can marry that with video. And it's like we saw that with Stephen Stearns. Right. I was just driving around, and then they got them all over the place on license plate readers, video cameras. I was just sort of meandering. He wasn't meandering. He was driving on a mission, But without all of that technology, the electronic technology. Look, I don't know how many of you live in private homes and have Ring cameras. They are fantastic. They are unbelievable. Someone comes to your door, you can go on the speaker and say, get out of here. And you see them jump, but you could see them coming to your door, and it's so clear, and it records everything. So people all over this country have them. And do you think law enforcement uses them also? In the au pair case, the Margulies case in Virginia, they saw the one victim go into the house on a Ring camera. And then they also saw her and the perp, the husband, go through the back door. They found that a little bizarre. What were they doing that for? Because they were trying to conceal themselves from going in the house, right? So all of these things are fantastic investigative tools that law enforcement has. And someone that thinks is just going to kill someone and get away with it, and then clean up the crime scene, and then get your parents involved. I can't say elderly because the mother's the same age as me. I don't think of myself as elderly, but I just let the cat out of the bag, you know? So, Mama Morris, it didn't say in the arrest affidavit how long the affair was going on with the CI. It didn't give us any of that information. It did, however, tell us that she was having an affair with, and the husband didn't know that the person she was having an affair with was a CI, but he knew that she was having an affair because that's what their last communication was. That's what they were fighting over. Lingo-minded friends, Karen Cole, laugh out loud. We need an abbreviation list. You know something? Sometimes when you read certain books that use a lot of, let's say, acronyms, right? And probably organizations or professions that use the most acronyms, the police is one of them. The medical field, nursing, right? Doctors, they use abbreviations like all hell, right? I'm sure attorneys have their own abbreviation list of all, and we're not all privy to what these abbreviations mean. And then of course the Army, the Navy, the service has more abbreviations, and because there's so many long words, so you just use the abbreviation. But interesting. But some are acceptable abbreviations, and some are just invented, and it leaves the rest of us lost. Mike, your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people, when you want to talk to somebody in the NYPD, if you two cops talking, I took a 31. I'm sorry, I took a 61 for a 1030. I thought it was a 1020. It was a 1030. The detective did a DD5 follow-up, and then he did the pink one, the informational. You're sitting there going, what the hell's going on? You know, if you're not into the lingo, oh yeah. And I used to see that too when I'd go down to headquarters. And one time I stopped off in the dispatch to see the dispatcher from my division. I just wanted to see her because she was always a familiar voice over the radio, and I just want to say hello to her. You know, hello Central. And we talked, and the amount of, we thought in 4-6 we used a lot of abbreviations on the street. But let me tell you something. Those 911, those radio dispatchers in the headquarters, they have twice as many acronyms and shortcuts as any cop. It's just amazing how much you can communicate with your own little secret language. It is amazing.
That's for sure. Absolutely for sure. Jenny Allison, ill wind. Interesting. We'll have to check it out. I don't know what you were referring to, Jenny. I just saw someone put something in there that, oh, here we go. Nina Chandra, DOA. That's a cop's favorite expression, DOA,
Oh, yeah.
dead on arrival. And cops use that not just to explain a dead body, because I don't know if you guys know that young cops, that's how you get punished a lot of times. Everyone that dies, whether it's suspicious, natural, a cop has to stay with the body until it's picked up by the medical examiner. So you could be in a house with a dead body for 8 or 10 or 12 hours, sometimes 2 shifts, 16, 24 hours. If the ME is that busy, they can pick the body up. Every shift, a new cop has to, we call it sitting on the body. You're not actually sitting on it. There's another police expression. You have to stay there until the medical examiner picks it up. And, you know, new cops will be like, oh, I got a DOA again. Oh, no. You know, that's
the bane of every rookie cop's existence.
I remember when I'd be reading the roll call and I would give a DOA to some new cop. He'd be like, oh, dude, you're brand new. What do you think? I'm going to give it to a seasoned veteran? You're new. This is part of learning this job. Yes, you got a DOA, you know, which stands for dead on arrival. So, yeah, thank you, Nina. It's sort of funny, but cops would use that expression DOA also to describe a useless cop. You would say, oh, he's DOA or she's DOA, and people would know exactly what you were talking about. What do you? Oh yeah, he's useless. She's DOA. He's DOA. So it's sort of some humor with all of that stuff. Let me play a little bit more of this here from Crime Fix.
Police Sergeant Gary Young describes how the investigation started.
The officers had been called to the family residence at 7038 South Horizon Circle, and it's known the couple had been going through a divorce since July of this year. They have 3 minor children, ages from 11 to 5 years old. Mr. Johnson is a respected member of the United States military, Utah National Guard. He's been employed there for about 20 years. He was last seen on the 20th of September, and witnesses came forward and reported an argument between the couple on September 20th to 21st in the early hours of the morning. It is believed that Mr. Johnson died of a gunshot wound.
Now, you might be asking, why do police believe Matthew Johnson died from a gunshot wound? The probable cause statement outlines exactly why. It reads, Cottonwood Heights Police Department were in contact with a confidential informant who was reporting that they had spoken with Jennifer on the evening of September 22nd, 2024, at which time Jennifer Gledhill openly admitted to killing Johnson by shooting him in the head while he slept. Johnson was shot while on the mattress inside the master bedroom of their home in Cottonwood Heights. Jennifer also told the CI she had removed the body of Johnson and had relocated his remains to a shallow grave at an undisclosed location. Jennifer Gledhill also told the CI she had been removing items from the home and destroying them to cover up this crime. Wow, this must be someone really close to Jennifer Gledhill for her to call and make this alleged admission. And how often do police get a break like that this early in a case? Probably not very often. The probable cause statement goes on to say, investigators obtained a search warrant for the residence in Cottonwood Heights, and during this search, we discovered a large blood-stained spot in the master bedroom carpet underneath the bed. Blood was also found on the bed frame slats, which supports the information police were told. Evidence also supports that significant cleanup had taken place after this crime had occurred, including bleaching walls and using carpet cleaning supplies. Police say there was other evidence of a cleanup as well. The affidavit goes on to say, the mattress located in the bedroom at the time of the search was consistent with a new mattress. Phone records revealed a new mattress was ordered on September 24th, 2024, and it arrived September 26, 2024. Since September 21st, 2024, Matthew has had no contact with anyone, including his children. Matthew's phone would go to voicemail. Matthew never returned to work and never left any evidence that would lead investigators to believe Matthew was still alive. Based on this behavior and evidence collected through this investigation, it is believed Matthew Johnson is deceased. The confidential informant.
So the confidential informant, and again, why they had a confidential informant out there that wound up having an affair with this woman, who happens to be the shooter of her husband, I don't know. But all of the information that he gave to the police, they don't just take it with a grain of salt. They get a search warrant based on the confidential informant, because confidential informants are given a number by the police department, and they're vetted and they're swearable. What does that mean to be swearable? That means you can raise your right hand and swear that the information you're giving is all the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And to be, I don't know if you know this term, but to be swearable, you must be credible. You must tell the truth. You must have a history of being credible, a history of telling the truth, or else no judge would allow someone who's not credible to be swearable. Mike, you should be talking this. You're the attorney, not me.
No, you're saying it exactly right. A confidential informant has to have a track record of credibility, where they'll tell the police, the detectives, some information. They'll go out and they'll verify it, because until the police verify that information, it's just a story. It's just a tale. Once the police can verify it, okay, that can be used as testimonial evidence in a criminal case. And you're right also that if a person who is not a credible witness, appears not to be a credible witness to the judge could actually refuse to have that person to be able to testify for either the prosecution or the defense. It doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it does. So therefore, that confidential informant, if they have had several previous cases that they've reported to the police, and as you said, they're swearable, it means they're credible. And so therefore, that will go to the heart of their testimony, and the jury will be able to give good weight to that testimonial evidence because it's all circumstantial. It's all circumstantial. And this case is excellent circumstantial case. They've got her ridiculous statements. They've got the blood stains. They've got the fact that Matthew has not been seen or heard anywhere. His, nothing. His credit cards haven't been used. His debit card hasn't been used. No one's seen him. They have a good circumstantial case, a solid circumstantial case of murder. And so that CI is going to be the central piece of information that the prosecution can present to the jury in that murder trial.
Absolutely. Simi Sharp, I thought they were already having an affair and she told him what she did. Yes, they were having an affair and she did tell him what she did, but she didn't know he was a CI. I don't know, how she became involved with the CI. I don't know. It seemed like she also was perhaps involved in selling some drugs too. So that potentially could have been how a CI got involved. So there's more to this case than we know right now, but it'll come out. Judith Sturgis, are they calling the lover the CI? My inference was they were not identifying him because, no, Judith, that's the thing that we don't know the exact time frame, the exact, how did she become involved with this guy who turned out to be a CI? She was having an affair with this guy. He's not named. He's named in the arrest affidavit as a confidential informant. She was having an affair with him. I don't know how she met him. After she told him everything, that she shot and killed her husband, he didn't immediately report it to the police. He waited 6 days, and then he told them what happened. So now he's swearable. He's going to have to testify to everything in court. And guess what? If he's married, if he's engaged, if he has a person in his life, too bad. He's got to tell his truth on the stand, because right now he's the most important witness in this murder. But look at how many people have become involved in this murder case. Unnecessarily. Probably, the mother and father, right? Rosalie and the parents' name is Tom and Rosalie, 67 and 70 years old. I'm sure they don't need this bullshit, but they should have used their brain. Your daughter shot and killed her husband. You're going to go clean up a house for her? That's called tampering with evidence. Don't do it. Now you're in jail and without bail. How does it feel? They've probably never been arrested in their entire life. They're 67 and 70 respectively. And now they're in jail because they did something very, very stupid. Now the 3 kids are wards of the state right now. And that sergeant had the balls to say, oh, they're in good hands. Please, where'd you get that from? Don't even try to sell that crap, that drives me crazy, because there's no kid in this entire world, no matter what city it is, that's in good hands when they become a ward of the state. Mike.
Yeah, it's such a tragedy because the grandparents are there. They could have maybe gotten custody of their grandchildren. They have it. I was looking at the family picture. It looks like there's 6 minor grandchildren in the entire family. They could have been taking care and loving their grandchildren, except now that they are actually in jail, wearing, great assortment of either green or orange jumpsuits. And they're going around And, that jail isn't easy for anybody, especially if you're that age. And I hope that they are there for quite a while, and I hope they deserve whatever justice comes their way, because what they did was they enabled this to be so far a successful murder where the body is still hidden. If they had done something different, this case would be taking a lot different turn at this point. But they actually willingly interjected themselves as active participants in the cover up of this murder, and that's shameful what they did. And to think that they were doing something that was actually helping. How do you help? That's just incredible at this point, really.
Well, Mike, the same thing. Like, if it turns out that the father, Tom, helped carry the body down the stairs, he potentially could be charged with the murder too.
Right. Yeah, he's a co-conspirator.
Yeah, acting in concert. Yeah. And, it could turn out that he did help her carry the body. Right. Oh, Dad, would you come over the house? I need you to help me move something,
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine that she was able to lift that body into the back of the van. I just cannot imagine one person could do that. And so someone must have helped her. Oh, Jenny Allison. I thought this was a little bit amusing what you said. I hope he doesn't have any skeletons in his closet, otherwise the defense will find them. And you're referring to the CI. Every CI has skeletons in their closet, or they would not be a CI.
That's right.
They're out there in the criminal element, and that's where a CI is a CI for two different reasons. One, to work off a potential sentence for court consideration. Two is for money. And it's the ones that get money are more rare than the ones that are doing it for court consideration. Usually the ones that do it for money are for doing it for big drug cases or organized crime cases, and they're being paid. But and most of the time, and Mike, I think I'm right with this, and if I'm not, correct me, CIs, confidential informants, do it for court consideration. In essence, they're in the shit already. They got in trouble.
Yeah.
And they're trying to work off their sentence or work off their parole, or get, and get considered to take it off their sentence. That's why they're doing it. So, Jenny, when you say that, hope he doesn't have of course he's got skeletons in his closet. He's got lots of them, or he wouldn't be a CI. Mike.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the 3.0 and the 4.6. One time Augie arrested a guy. You remember Augie? He arrested a guy, and the first thing the guy said, we got him in the cells. He's like, I'm a CI. So I said, well, who's your contact? He told me. I called up the detective. The detective came over immediately. He's like, is there anything you can do for this guy? He's a CI. He's in so much trouble as it is, because you go easy on him, and that's what you get. I just sat there and laughed like, wow, that's great police service. I can call this guy up and he shows up out of nowhere. And it's almost as if he was a defense attorney saying, could you get my client out of here? But yeah, they're the eyes and ears of the police in many ways. Absolutely.
Nina Shandraw at Police Off the Cuff. Really, they're a government agency. They sworn to take care of children who come under their care. Nina, I'm going to give you a quick dose of reality. All right. The Bureau of Child Welfare, the Administration of Children's Services, or whatever they call them in whatever jurisdiction on this earth, they all do the same thing. They're underfunded, they're understaffed, and that is the reality. Government doesn't give them the budget they need to do their job. So what happens? Some of them have 100 clients, 200 clients, when they can only handle 30 or 40. There's not enough funding because our politicians, they give lip service. Oh, this is really important, but it's underfunded. Remember when they were defunding the police? Bureau of Child Welfare, all of these child agencies, they've been underfunded their entire history. And that is just the reality. And they will always be underfunded because no one gives a shit about them. And politicians will act like they do care, but they don't. They don't care because it's these social workers the term social worker itself, God bless these people. They are underpaid and overworked. And their morale, because of that, their morale sucks because it's underpaid and overworked. So, Nina, hate to give you that dose of reality, but it just is 100% the truth. Mike.
Yes, some of the families are great, and they're on like volunteer 24-hour call, you know. But there are some families who are just using it to make money. So if I take in a couple of foster children, I'll get paid, and they may not care. But the social workers that go out there and they investigate the cases, they are woefully undertrained, underpaid, underfunded, understaffed, overworked. And you're right. And you used to remember in the NYPD, whenever there was a horrific incident where a child died in custody, what they would do, somebody would get arrested, the politicians would be talking about it, and then they would change the name of the organization from like ACS to BCW or something like that. And just to make it sound, oh wow, we're reinventing policing. Well, this is what they would do with child welfare. We're reinventing child welfare in New York City. And the poor children, you know, sometimes they're lucky where they're placed, but a lot of times they're not. And the people who are ensuring their welfare, they don't get, you're right, absolutely. They don't, God bless them. It's a high burnout rate because they don't get they're overworked with the number of cases, and they don't have any resources or any way to advance in a career. It's really terrible how little resources go to protect children who may be victims of crimes, or in this kind of situation, in a situation where their family has been, has been destroyed and they need emergency placement. Nobody really cares in City Hall about these children. Nobody.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it just happens to be the truth. And you know, what can you do with it? So this is a case that everything has gone wrong with this case. You know, it's well, from the perspective of the person that murdered her husband, from the perspective of the investigators and the police, they have a circumstantial case that they're building, a circumstantial case that they'll be able to take to trial, a circumstantial case that they'll be able to get a conviction with. But, you know, when we see these cases, it absolutely is so sad to see why would someone take this as an option? Why is this an option? It just doesn't make any sense, Mike.
Yeah, they get the idea that life is going to be better without this person, without entangling, relationships when they move on to have a new family. Look, you got 3 children with this person. Of course, they're going to be a part of your life forever. For the time that your children are alive, they're going to be a part of your family. There's no way that you're not going to be able to have some sort of relationship with the new person, yet still have no connection anymore with your former husband or wife. Why people think they can do this and that they can get away with it, and it's a shame, because cooler heads could have prevailed. There doesn't seem to be any sort of violence that was coming from him where she was defending herself. This seems to be, I've had it, and kill him, and then it's look, and then you involve your family, you involve your whole family. It's a shame. It's really terrible. This did not have to be in any way, shape, or form like this.
Absolutely. Heather, what charges are you referring to the parents of the shooter, right? Of Jennifer? They're being charged with tampering with evidence, but because this is a murder, it's that much more serious. And if it turns out that the father helped her move the body, which that could happen, he's got more serious problems than just tampering with evidence. They could, Look, they found the gun in a search warrant at the father, Tom, his house. So they're more involved than I think they wanted to be involved, but they're involved. Brooklyn, Janet, thank you for the 199 super sticker. Do you think one parent may turn state's evidence? I think what the parents will do right now is they think they'll just keep their mouth shut and get an attorney and don't get in any deeper in this case than they already are. I mean, two people probably lived their whole life on the straight and narrow, and they did this stupid thing. Does the criminal justice system really want to throw the book at them and just put them in jail, put them in prison? I don't know if they would really want to do that. Mike?
Yeah, think about it. You're right. You get an attorney for both Mr. Tom and Rosalie. If I'm their attorney, first thing I'm going to do is talk to them. What's going on? Are you okay? What do you need? And then I'm going to ask them, point blank, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to take this kind of a case to trial? Are you in communication with your daughter? I'm going to go to the DA and see what I could work out. What are they looking for? A defense attorney and prosecutors are always going to talk about a plea, about some sort of elocution, that sort of thing. And so I'm going to look for that to see if there's any way that they can somehow get out of this situation, and then get back on with their lives. And knowing, look, she's going to prison probably for the rest of her life, no matter what. If they keep their mouth shut, she's probably going to go to prison. If they say something, she's probably going to go to prison. The best thing that they could do, hopefully, is maybe know where poor Matthew's body is, and then therefore he could at least get a good burial, a good, decent religious burial. But they're in deep crap, and there's very little hope for them unless they're willing, and she's willing to have them talk and do what's best for them, because they got to think now, what's best for me? I'm 70 years old. I can't stay in prison the rest of my life.
Yeah. Jenny Allison from the chat. What kind of sentence can the parents get for tampering with evidence in this serious of a case? Mike, Jenny, I'm feeling that they're not going to look to put them in jail or in prison. So I'm going to think that if they cooperate through their attorney, I'm thinking that the district attorney will probably just give them whatever time they served and maybe a fine. I don't think they're going to look to put these people 67 and 70 years old that probably lived an exemplary life to put them in prison. I don't think but I could be wrong. But what could they get, Mike?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't know, Utah law, but I would imagine they probably could get somewhere between, 1 and 5 years at least. I don't think they're going to would do a decade, even if they could live that long. But these are serious charges, and they're not seen as complicit in the actual planning of the murder or that sort of thing, or providing the gun, because the gun actually came from Matthew himself. It was his gun. They didn't supply the firearm to her to shoot. So I would imagine you're right. If they did say something and helped recover the body, they would get time served. But I would imagine they can get a couple of years in prison. In the worst case scenario, the cops aren't looking to punish them. They're looking to punish the daughter, and this is the leverage that they're using. And it may sound cruel. The parents are being used as leverage on the daughter, but this is what you have to do. You have to play hardball with her at this point.
Absolutely. Mehdi from the chat, welcome to Utah. The cult has rotted these people's brains. I hate this place. We've covered some of the cases in Utah, and I don't think this is one of these church cases that, but everyone always mentions that whenever there is a case in Utah. Karen Cole, legal-minded friends in Florida, they're going after the Adelson grandma hard. You know, Karen, that's because the grandma was the kingpin in that case. She was, I think, the catalyst that set that whole ball in motion. So they want to put her away well, she's in her middle 70s.
Mhm.
They want to put her in prison. Basically, it'll be a death penalty for her. But they want to put her away forever. And you can see that's what they're planning on doing there. Let's see what we got here in the chat. Nina Chandra, would having one attorney for a couple a good legal strategy? I've seen couples get their own attorneys because of the conflict of interest. Nina, it very well could be a conflict. If the husband's more involved than the wife's name is Rosalie, the husband's name is Tom. If Tom is more involved than Rosalie, I think they should get separate attorneys because you want the attorney to be looking out for you and not taking into consideration the other person. Suhaila, they just can't hold it in. They thought they were inhuman and could deal, but the conscience bubbles up, and before you know it, they'll tell anyone, their own undoing, I believe. Judith. Barbara Crossley, welcome. Jenny Allison, thank you for answering my question. That's what I was wondering, especially if her dad helped her dispose of the body.
Yeah.
Just Rhonda, I live in Utah. Some of these Utah women give the rest of us good ones a bad name in public. Not all Utah women are sick, and at many of these cases, nothing to do with the church or a cult. I don't believe it does either. Very, very interesting case. But it makes us shake our head, though. You know, here's a family, beautiful, beautiful family. Look, there's the wife. She's a beautiful woman, you know. A husband, you know, serving his country, has PTSD. Three beautiful kids, you know. They have a nice life. They live in a beautiful house in an affluent neighborhood. Not that that means shit, right? And this was how you solve your problems. That's why there's attorneys. That's why there's courts, you know. Go to court. Go get an attorney. File for divorce. Mike, we're at that point. Your final thoughts.
Let's hope that all the volunteers that are working out there, the police, the civilian volunteers, and the members of the Utah National Guard that are, you know, doing voluntary work there, that they find poor Matthew, and so that he can get a good burial. And we should pray and remember the children. There's 3 of them, and they're all minor children, and their grandparents are arrested, their fathers passed away, and their mother's in prison for killing their father. So that family needs our prayers, really does. They really need our prayers.
Absolutely. Folks, I want to thank everyone. This is really a very interesting case, a tragic case. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. This is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. We'll see you the next time. Have a great night, and God bless everyone.